I was standing in the kitchen when she said it. The sunlight came through the window, warm and soft, the kind that usually made mornings feel peaceful. But the moment her words reached my ears, everything inside me went cold. "You're not going on vacation with us." My stepmom didn't even look up when she said it. She was scrolling through her phone, already lost in pictures of lakes and cabins and smiling families that didn't include me. I stood there, frozen, holding my coffee mug like it was the only thing keeping me upright. "What?" I asked quietly, hoping I'd misheard her. She sighed, annoyed, as if I were interrupting something important. I said, "You're not coming. Your father and I need a break, some quality family time. Family time." The word hit harder than the sentence itself, because somehow, in her world, I wasn't family. Not really. Not enough to be included. I glanced at my dad, waiting for him to say something, anything. But he just stared at the table, his silence louder than her rejection. "I already took time off," I said, my voice barely steady. "You said we were all going." Karen finally looked at me then. Her smile was thin, polite, and completely empty. "Plans change," she replied. "You're old enough to understand. Old enough to be left behind. Old enough to be ignored." I nodded slowly, swallowing the lump in my throat. I didn't want to cry in front of her. I had learned that tears only made her colder. She never yelled, never insulted me directly. She didn't need to. She was an expert at making people feel small with calm words and gentle smiles. That night, I lay in my room staring at the ceiling, replaying her sentence over and over. "You're not going on vacation with us." It wasn't just about the trip. It was about every birthday she forgot, every photo I wasn't in, every reminder that I was an extra piece in a life she wanted perfectly arranged. What hurt the most wasn't her words. It was my father's silence, as I listened to them laugh downstairs, planning their peaceful getaway. I felt something shift inside me. A quiet crack. I didn't know it yet, but that moment was the beginning of everything changing, and they had no idea what they had just started. The house felt different after that conversation. Not quieter, just heavier, like the walls themselves knew I didn't belong in the future they were planning. I started noticing things I had ignored before. The way Karen lowered her voice when she talked on the phone, the way my dad hesitated before answering her questions, the way the word vacation suddenly disappeared whenever I entered the room. 3 days later, I heard the truth by accident. I was halfway down the hallway when Karen's voice drifted out of the living room. She was laughing softly, the fake, sweet laugh she used when she wanted something. "It'll be perfect," she said into the phone. "The lake house is quiet this time of year. No interruptions, just peace." My steps slowed. Lake house. My heart began to pound. She continued, unaware I was close enough to hear every word. "Yes, it's empty. He won't be there. She meant me. I stood there, barely breathing, as the meaning settled in. They weren't just going on a random vacation. They were going to the lake house, the one place in the world that still felt like my mother was close. That house wasn't just wood and windows. It was where my mom taught me how to fish, where we watched storms roll in from the porch, where she told me that some places remember the people who loved them. After she passed away, the house became a quiet promise, something safe, something mine. Karen hated that place. Or at least she pretended to. She used to say it was too old and too lonely. Now she wanted it empty and perfect, shaped around her idea of peace. That night I went into my dad's office. He didn't notice me at first. He was looking at papers spread across his desk, documents I recognized instantly. "Property records." My stomach dropped. "So that's the plan," I said softly. He looked up, startled. "You weren't supposed to hear that." There it was again. Another sentence that said everything without saying anything at all. "It's my mom's house," I reminded him. "You know that," he nodded, rubbing his face. "I know. We're just borrowing it. Borrowing without asking." Without me, I walked out before he could say anything else. My hands were shaking, but my mind was clear for the first time since Karen's words had cut me open. They thought I was powerless. They thought the house was just a place. They were wrong on both counts. And from that moment on, I stopped feeling hurt and started paying attention. After that night, I stopped confronting them. Not because I forgave them, and not because the pain had faded, but because I finally understood something important. Confrontation would only give Karen what she wanted, control. She thrived on calm power, on knowing she could decide where I belonged without ever raising her voice. So I stayed quiet, I watched, I listened. At breakfast, Karen talked about packing lists and long drives, her voice light and excited. She never once looked at me. My dad nodded along, trapped between guilt and convenience. Every laugh they shared felt like another reminder that I had been pushed outside their circle. But something had changed inside me. I wasn't shrinking anymore. Late at night, when the house was asleep, I sat at my desk and opened old folders, documents my mother had carefully labeled years ago. I read every page slowly, forcing myself to stay calm. The lake house deed was there, my name was there. Clear, undeniable. The truth settled in like a quiet fire. That house wasn't just emotionally mine. It was legally mine. Karen didn't know that. Or maybe she assumed I'd never question anything, never look closely, never stand up for myself. She had underestimated the kid who learned early how to survive silence. The more I thought about it, the less angry I felt. Anger burns fast and leaves nothing behind. What I felt instead was resolve, a steady understanding that I didn't need to shout to be heard. I just needed to act. The night before they left, I overheard Karen say, "Finally, some real peace." I almost laughed. Instead, I went online and did something simple, something small but powerful. I changed the access code to the lake house. Then I called the property service and updated the authorization list. My name went first. Theirs didn't go anywhere. I lay awake afterward, staring at the ceiling, my heart racing. Part of me wondered if I was being cruel. Another part remembered standing in the kitchen, hearing I didn't belong. This wasn't revenge fueled by anger. It was boundaries long overdue. In the morning, I helped load their bags into the car. Karen smiled, pleased with herself. My dad hesitated, like he wanted to say something, but didn't. As they drove away, I stood in the driveway and felt something unfamiliar. Calm, for the first time, I wasn't waiting to be included. I had already chosen myself, and soon they were going to understand what that meant. I didn't even make it an hour before my phone rang. I was sitting on my bed, staring out the window when Karen's name flashed across the screen. I answered calmly, already knowing what she was going to say. "The door won't open," she snapped. "The code isn't working. We've been trying for 10 minutes. I let the silence stretch for a moment. "Oh," I said gently. "That's probably because I changed it." There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end. Then my dad's voice cut in, low and confused. "You changed it?" "Yes," I replied. Since I wasn't invited on the vacation, I assumed my house wasn't part of the plan either. Karen exploded. She accused me of being selfish, dramatic, ungrateful. Her words came fast and loud, spilling over each other like she could still intimidate me into backing down. But something had shifted. Her anger didn't scare me anymore. "This isn't fair," she said. "We're already here." I closed my eyes. Neither was being told I didn't belong. I answered quietly. The line went silent. They ended up staying in a small hotel miles away from the lake. What was supposed to be a peaceful escape turned into tension and whispered arguments. I didn't hear about most of it until later, but I didn't need to. I could imagine it. The disappointment, the frustration, the realization that things don't always go according to plan. When they came home, my dad asked to talk. We sat at the kitchen table, the same place where everything had begun. His shoulders looked heavier, his voice tired. "I should have stopped it," he said. "I let her push you aside." I nodded. I wasn't angry anymore. I just needed him to see the truth. Karen didn't apologize. She didn't have to. Her silence told me she finally understood something she never expected, that she couldn't control everything. A week later, I went to the lake house alone. I walked through each room slowly, touching the walls, breathing in the quiet. I sat on the dock where my mom used to sit, the water calm and endless. For the first time in a long while, I felt whole. That revenge wasn't loud. It wasn't cruel. It was peaceful. Karen tried to take my place. I reclaimed my voice. And standing there by the lake, I realized something beautiful. I didn't lose a vacation. I gained myself.